Notable among the features of American colleges is the system of secret societies. In fact, in some colleges, the system has grown to such an extent and the society question has become such a paramount one that it engrosses a large part of the student's life and enlists him in a mighty conflict for the supremacy of his society.
To some, college societies are merely the fraternities and sororities of excess, drunken playboys and party girls, and still to others, they are the highly respectable stewards of future America, plucked from the best and brightest. But if one fact is confirmed, it is that those who are selected for membership often find loyalty to these auspicious organizations puts them on the fast track for success and leadership positions throughout life. For starters, find one high-ranking politician who wasn't in one. It's hard to do, with membership lists that typically include everyone from U.S. congressional representatives to senators to Supreme Court justices to CIA men and even U.S. presidents. There is solid ground for the assertions that these secret organizations are essential prerequisites for attaining true power and wealth in this country. Though it isn't easy for everyone to believe, underneath the layer of well-known Greek letter fraternities and sororities that dot nearly every major campus across the country, there is an inner ring of secret societies harbored at institutions of higher education that seem to form the basis of a very true class system, hidden in America. Nearly all these elite college secret societies are endowed with huge sums of money and powerful alumni that allow them to donate heavily to their universities and steer the selection of college presidents, board members, faculty and student government, and representatives, many of whom themselves are undeclared secret society members. Just about everyone has heard of the influential secret society at Yale known as Skull and Bones, for example. But while it's important, it is truly just the tip of the iceberg. According to Albert Clark Stevens' Cyclopedia of Fraternities, first compiled in 1899, all secret collegiate societies and their more public Greek fraternity and sorority counterparts, which date back to the first universities in America, give, quote, unmistakable evidence of having rummaged in the bureau drawers of Freemasonry, Odd Fellowship, the Templars, the Knights of Malta, and other orders for their ritualistic finery. These societies are known to conduct secret proceedings with secret oaths and secret rituals, and despite a public face of nothing but philanthropic goodwill for their universities, they are steeped in occultic mysticism and hidden agendas.
There are a great many advantages in college fraternities. They cause a feeling of good fellowship among the students and are always a bond of union when college life is over. Once in, there's no withdrawal that is possible.
As the number will come up again and again, we will begin with the mystical sevens. Sure, you've heard of 7 as a lucky number, or the perfect number, or even as a significant number in Freemasonry, but you might not realize that occultic importance of the number 7 also goes back thousands of years. The Order of the Heptasophs, or 7 Wise Men, dates back to 1104 BC at the time of the first Zoroaster, who is said to have been the head of the Magi of Persia. Persian kings were not allowed to take the throne until they received occultic instruction from a council of 6 wise men, for a total of 7, who met in the subterranean caverns beneath the royal palace, the only spot deemed lawful to impart the most occultic knowledge of the 7. Henceforth the king determined no important matter without his wise men. The order of the 7 wise men was passed down through the centuries from Greece to Rome, Rome to Britain, and from Britain to America, where elements of its rituals and themes wound up not only in adult secret societies like Benjamin Franklin's Hellfire Club, but also in some of the earliest secret societies on the oldest and most elite and aristocratic campuses in the nation. Oddly enough, most of these universities even come complete with a network of maintenance tunnels connecting the campus, and it is rumored that many secret societies still meet in their subterranean depths to pass on their occultic knowledge, just like the ancient Magi of Persia. Chartered in 1693, the College of William and Mary is the oldest university in the South, and the second oldest in the nation behind Harvard. 4 of the first 10 American presidents are associated with it. In chartering the college, King William III and Queen Mary II of England sought to establish, quote, a certain place of universal study, to be led by 6 masters or professors and 1 president, the 7 to be known collectively as the Society. 7 is also a recurring motif of the school itself. Chancellors serve 7-year terms, and 7 buildings surround the sunken gardens, which are complete with 7 brick pathways. During the Civil War, the school was closed for 7 years, until its 17th president assembled a team of 6 and again revived the school. Those 7 men came to be known as the 7 Wise Men. Tunnels are also rumored to connect the school to the Bruton Vault, but that's another conspiracy for another time. So it is no great surprise that as student secret societies sprang up across the country with a heavy 7 theme, they began with the College of William and Mary, although they weren't all necessarily related. The 7 Society Order of the Crown and Dagger was started at William and Mary in 1826. They are most well known for donating gifts to the school through their endowment. Everything else about them, including their rituals, is kept completely secret, including members' identities until death. Almost seeming to follow their creation as a sort of blueprint, at least 10 other societies called the Mystical 7 soon sprang up in colleges around the South. Each had 7 founding members, and each chapter was referred to as a temple in reverence for the mystery religions and occult. Their records were kept in cauldrons. The Mystical 7 Temple of the Wand first appeared at Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut in 1837. Their symbol is a 7-sided star featuring a cauldron in the center and a 7-foot wand. A member transferred to Emory University and founded a chapter of the Mystics there in 1841. Most sources claim it was called the Temple of the Sword, but in Albert Clark Stevens' 1899 book, The Cyclopedia of the Fraternities, it was named Temple of the Skull and Bones.
On an aside, the original Emory University is located on the Druid Hills of Oxford, Georgia. Emory is home to several secret societies, including the Paladin Society, DVS, which chooses 7 members annually, Ducimus, and the Order of Ammon, named after the Egyptian god. Memberships are never revealed. In an anonymous interview with the Emory Wheel, an Order of Ammon member claimed that they are, quote, always watching, just like Ammon, who's invisible, omnipotent, and omniscient, and who describe themselves as having, quote, roles in a number of committees and other organizations that allow them to help guide the direction of the university.
Back to the temples, Temple of the Wreath began at Transylvania College in Lexington, Kentucky in 1843. For such a little-known private institution, the university is the alma mater of 101 U.S. congressional representatives, 50 U.S. senators, 36 governors, 34 ambassadors, 2 Supreme Court justices, and 2 vice presidents. The university's motto is Latin for, "In the light, we pass on the light." And so it followed that each temple was set up by a member from a previous temple. A second Temple of the Wreath was set up at Centenary College in Louisiana in 1845. The Temple of the Skull was set up at the University of Georgia in 1846. Temple of the Star at Ole Miss in 1848 or 1859, depending on the source. The Temple of the Scroll and Pen started at Genesee College in 1855. The Temple of the Hands and Torch at University of Virginia in 1867 in turn founded the Temple of the Star in the South at the University of Carolina in 1884 and the Temple of the Sword and Shield at Davidson College. It's rumored there was also a Temple of the Owl founded somewhere else down south, but its exact location has remained a secret to this day. The Mystical 7 at Wesleyan also gave rise to the Rainbow, aka the WWW fraternity at University of Mississippi in 1842, or 1848, depending on the source. And it too was a secret society with 7 founding members. Originally called the Mystic Sons of Iris, the Rainbow spread to multiple southern states like the Mystical 7, including Alabama, Tennessee, both Carolinas, and Texas prior to the Civil War, and, quote, no man from any northern state was allowed initiation. The Rainbow was quickly absorbed into various Greek letter fraternities, which preserved some of its traditions as per charter, including the Rite of Iris that Delta Tau Delta continues to this day. Much later, a group called Mystical 7, or M7, showed up at the University of Missouri circa 1907, though no connection to the others has been shown to date. And today, there are not 1 but 2 Mystical 7 societies existing side by side at Wesleyan. Don't ask us how that works. It is believed that alumni of these mystical orders went on to found the adult secret society, the Order of the Heptasophs, or 7 Wise Men, which began in New Orleans, Louisiana on April 6, 1852, and numbered some 4,000 members in 18 states by the turn of the 20th century.
But the Seventh Society, Order of the Crown and Dagger at William and Mary, and all those that followed, are still not the earliest secret societies that appeared at American colleges by far. The earliest appears to be the FHC, which was started at William and Mary on November 11, 1750, at the Raleigh Tavern, also known as the Flat Hat Club. Why the Flat Hat Club? Because no member of the secret society FHC would ever tell what it stood for. However, it is believed to stand for Fraternitas Humanitas et Cognitio, which translates to brotherhood, humanity, and knowledge. Its motto was Stabilitas et Fides, steadfastness and loyalty. And its badge featured a coat of arms on one side and a symbol that included clasped hands along with their motto, indicating that it was more than a mere social club. It cropped up just in time to incubate a generation of revolutionaries, in which Virginia played an extremely significant role. It was many of the members of the FHC who were integral to the events that helped to spark the revolution. Just a few of the known members include George Wythe, Lieutenant Colonel James Innes, and future Secretary of State under George Washington, Edmund Randolph. And one of the earliest members of the FHC is none other than Founding Father Thomas Jefferson, who tried to play it off later in correspondence, dated 1819, where he admitted that he was once a member, but wrote, "When I was a student of William and Mary College of this state, there existed a society called FHC Society, confined to the number of 6 students only, of which I was a member. But it had no useful object, nor do I know whether it now exists." And another letter written by Jefferson during the time that he would have been a member of the organization was written in cipher using Latin and code. A search through newspaper archives revealed a 1911 article in Richmond, Virginia's Times-Dispatch, which hints that the FHC never died out and was actually a precursor to the Phi Beta Kappa fraternity, typically thought of today as the first American fraternity, even though it was not founded until years later in December 1776, when the revolution was just kicking off. Phi Beta Kappa also began as a secret society, but quickly spread throughout the country's Ivy League institutions, both during and after the Revolutionary War, and has today become one of the largest fraternities, no longer secret. It is believed by some to be a direct spin-off of Adam Weishaupt's Illuminati, which was founded the same year on May 1st, 1776. Its original emblem features a hand that points through its motto to 7 stars, and the back of the earliest Phi Kappa member badges, which were in the shape of a 7-pointed star, had SP for Societas Philosophiae, or Philosophical Society, next to a date that some of the mystical initiated have referred to as the date of Illuminism. Many Phi Beta Kappa members served in the Continental Army. 17 became members of Virginia's House of Burgesses, or the Senate, or both. 8 became members of the convention that ratified the federal Constitution, 5 became representatives in Congress, and 2 were U.S. senators. But decades after the revolution ended, when twice asked about Phi Beta Kappa in correspondence, Jefferson claimed he was an entire stranger to the society and knew nothing of its history or objects. The FHC has been referred to as the genesis of a great scholarly brotherhood of the numberless Greek letter fraternities, which had at the time of the 1911 article some 300,000 members at colleges and universities all across America, and which, quote, exert an immeasurable influence for the brotherhood of man. The male-only secret society was based on secret ciphers, a secret handshake, and secret meetings for secret ends. So began the tradition of a secret leadership sect within society, born out of American colleges and universities across the country. When Phi Beta Kappa began at the same aristocratic university as the FHC over 2 decades later, it cannot be a coincidence that it too was founded at the Apollo Room of the historic and infamous Raleigh Tavern, the very same one where the FHC was founded. The FHC continues today, or doesn't, depending on who you ask, but the student newspaper at William and Mary, the Flat Hat, is named after it. There are currently at least 9 secret societies active on this campus alone, including the Sevens and the Bishop James Madisons, And intriguingly, it is rumored that some of them use a sophisticated network of underground steam tunnels to meet unseen, and fraternities have also reportedly made pledges steal bones from a burial vault under Wren Chapel, accessed via these tunnels. But after the Flat Hat newspaper did a report on the tunnels, the vault was sealed off with an additional steel door in 1977. The FHC and Phi Beta Kappa gave rise to an entire Greek letter system in American universities and overlaid a system of truly secret societies at the top, all of which serve as entryways into the upper echelon of American power and privilege.
But like all other institutions which are good in themselves, it is liable to much abuse, and the members of societies ought to be extremely careful that they do not bring upon themselves public displeasure by such abuse.
It should be noted in the late 1800s, the wave of anti-Masonic fervor, which began earlier in the century, continued to put pressure on the college society systems, along with a growing sense of many student bodies that fraternities and secret societies were little more than nurseries for snobbery and elitism. Especially in New England, universities and colleges were pressured to close down the societies. Some were banned outright, as at Princeton, which today openly houses eating clubs instead, although rumor has it the secret societies are still around, just forced deeper into the shadows. The majority, however, were so powerful financially and otherwise that they were allowed to continue their rituals with a wink and a smile and have continued as an integral part of the universities to this day. Here are just some of the secret societies found on American campuses today to give you an idea. This is by no means an exhaustive list, as there are way too many to cover in depth in a simple report. We'll start over where we began, with Skull and Bones at Yale.
Just about everybody has heard about the secret society at Yale, known as Skull and Bones. Its obsession with the number 322, which by the way equals 7, and with skulls and emblems of death, is matched by its deep pockets and its blue-blooded membership, including former presidents George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush. They have a deep connection to the CIA and the foundation of U.S. intelligence, and have equally expansive ties to its network of prominent business and political leaders. Skull and Bones, Nazi banking, setting up the Soviets, funding them, financing them, into ambassadors, bankers, and dynastic families who generally rank among the oligarchical leaders of the country. It was founded in 1832 by the Russell Trust, set up by William Huntington Russell and Alphonso Taft, grandfather of William Howard Taft, who was not only a Skull and Bones member, but the only person in American history to become both a Supreme Court justice and a U.S. president. Russell, who's also deeply connected to the British aristocracy, was conducting a shady but lucrative import-export business that included opium with the Delano family that President Franklin Delano Roosevelt came from. Skull and Bones taps 15 seniors each year, and since its beginnings, their members have typically come from families who already have wealth and clout. If they accept, they undergo a torturous initiation that includes intimately recalling their most personal life details, including a comprehensive sexual history, all while lying inside a coffin. And there are rumors of other extreme and sometimes perverse acts that take place inside of their tomb.
It's about the only way I can describe it. It was sick.
A large majority of Yale's presidents have been members of Skull and Bones, or they were selected in part by the group. Past members have included Senator and Secretary of State John Kerry, Wall Street banker, governor, and ambassador to Russia, Averell Harriman, Senator Prescott Bush, father and grandfather to 2 presidents, who were also both Bonesmen, commentator William F. Buckley, who's considered instrumental in the conservative movement, former National Security Advisor and president of the Ford Foundation, McGeorge Bundy, as well as his brother William Bundy, a CIA analyst and a presidential advisor. Actor Paul Giamatti, whose father was president of Yale and commissioner of Major League Baseball, and various members of old-line elite families, including the Rockefellers, Pillsbury, Davison, Stimson, and Whitney families, who've all been initiated into Bones.
Skull and Bones is not alone at Yale. In fact, there are at least 41 secret societies known on the campus, with 8 landed senior societies who have tombs or houses on campus property, all of which not only conduct secret initiations but hold within their ranks a who's who of some of the most influential and well-connected men, and quite some time later women, in the global economy. Yale's second oldest and second most important secret society, Scroll and Key, is no second best. With assets amounting to over $10 million on paper, it is the wealthiest secret society at Yale. While Scroll and Key appears to be short on skulls and secrets, it taps its 15 selected seniors for initiation in a similar manner to Skull and Bones. Its badge is a gold key over a scroll with the letters CSP above and CCI below, although no one outside of the society knows what that stands for. Scroll and Key's tomb is often regarded as one of the nicest buildings at Yale. Its members include former Secretaries of State Dean Acheson, Cyrus Vance, and Frank Polk, Cord Meyer Jr. of the CIA and World Federalist Society, James Stillman Rockefeller from the prominent banking family, father of modern neurosurgery Harvey Cushing, journalists Fareed Zakaria and Stone Phillips of Dateline NBC, editor of the Council on Foreign Relations Foreign Affairs magazine Gideon Rose, and even Gary Trudeau, the cartoonist of Doonesbury fame, not to mention countless U.S. senators, representatives, mayors, ambassadors, and diplomats, lawyers, and bankers, and at least 2 Nobel Prize winners in science and medicine. In addition, A. Bartlett Giamatti, father of Skull and Bones actor Paul Giamatti, is a prime example of Scroll and Key members who have gone on to hold the office of president at Yale. This is a group of seriously influential people, and as with many college secret societies, when everybody in the inner circle knows each other, even greater power can be derived through networking. On a side note, Skull and Serpent, another senior secret society with a tomb founded in the same vein of Skull and Bones and Scroll and Key at Yale, was created at Wesleyan in 1865.
Yale's third oldest secret society, Wolf's Head, also holds great influence and immense wealth, and perhaps a younger sibling syndrome. Supposedly created from Skull and Bones rejects, Wolf's Head was founded in 1883. It began as the, quote, Third Society, but reportedly changed its name 5 years later. Their tomb is called the Hall, and rumor has it that their Olympic-sized pool creates a water bill bigger than all of New Haven's first ward. Past members have included numerous American diplomats, several former U.S. Secretaries of Commerce, and an array of U.S. Congress members, as well as elite lawyers that include Special Prosecutor to investigate Whitewater, Robert B. Fisk, who was appointed by then Attorney General Janet Reno. Past Wolfhead's members have also included a head of the Ford Foundation, elite family members like Edsel Ford's youngest son William Clay Ford, Anson Goodyear, William Wrigley III, and Philip Pillsbury, in addition to former Yale presidents, Yale Law School deans, and longtime Yale administrators. Renowned author Anthony Sutton, one of the few credentialed scholars to research Skull and Bones, stated in the introduction to his book America's Secret Establishment that he believes Scroll and Key, as well as Wolf's Head, supposedly competition societies, to be part of the same network.
The secret society Book and Snake was founded in 1863 as part of the Sheffield School before it merged with Yale. Their tomb features a caduceus on its wrought iron gate out front, and the group's emblem is a book surrounded by the Ouroboros, an ancient symbol of a serpent or dragon swallowing its own tail in a perpetual cycle. Real, the end is the beginning is the end, tree of knowledge of good and evil, never-ending story type stuff. Looking at the list of notable members reads more like a list of America's intelligence leaders. Among its ranks are Bob Woodward of Washington Post Watergate fame, U.S. Congressman and former director of the CIA Porter Goss, former Secretary of Defense Les Aspin, former Secretary of the Treasury Nicholas F. Brady, and U.S. State Department officials including Charles Rivkin and John Verneau Bouvier III, father of First Lady Jackie Onassis. Yale is also home to others including Mason Chain, Berzelius, Elihu, St. Elmo's, and the Manuscript Society, all of which boast powerful professionals from directors of the NSA and CIA to former CIA intern turned CNN anchor Anderson Cooper, and political correspondent and advisor to 4 presidents David Gergen, who regularly attends Bohemian Grove. Yet one of the oldest societies at Yale is the Linonian Society, which dates back to 1753 and began as a literary and debating society, but after some decades followed suit with Yale's other secret societies, although it also taps graduate and law school students. Linonia includes among its ranks such prominent members as Nathan Hale, Eli Whitney, John C. Calhoun, James Fenimore Cooper, William Howard Taft, and Daniel Gilman, the first president of Johns Hopkins University, founding president of the Carnegie Institution, and co-founder of the Skull and Bones Russell Trust Association.
Leaving the elite halls of Yale, where secret societies became especially ingrained, we find that the rest of the established East Coast is also littered with exclusive societies filled with the offspring of wealthy families. Brown University of Providence, Rhode Island, has some of the oldest secret society ties as well, with its first group, the Philharmonian Society, founded back in 1794. The most secretive at Brown, however, is Societas Domi Pacifica, known today simply as the Pacifica House, originally founded as the Franklin House back in 1824. The 3 keys on the Society's coat of arms are symbols of Benjamin Franklin's experiments with electricity. The Franklin House formation, however, officially dissolved only 10 years later in 1834, when an inner core of the society complained that the quality of membership had severely deteriorated. However, it reportedly continued in total secrecy, only to later emerge as the Pacifica House after the Civil War. It is known that 15 members are chosen each year, but everything else is a secret. According to a rumor in Town & Country magazine, Pacifica House is a Brown University branch of a larger secret society order that also includes Yale Skull and Bones and Dartmouth Sphinx. The group has continued to operate according to a 2002 society report with the dual purpose of improving the university's public function while preparing and perhaps grooming men and women for lives of efficacious leadership.
Skull and Bonesman Andrew Dixon White, first president of Cornell, is said to have spread the idea of Yale-fashioned secret societies to the university he presided over. Quill and Dagger, founded in 1893 at Cornell, has been considered one of the most powerful and influential college secret societies in the country, a la Skull and Bones. All meetings, proceedings, and activities of Quill and Dagger are closed and concealed. Members' names, however, are published each semester. In the past, members were known by their pins, which feature the head of a corpse holding a quill in its mouth impaled by a dagger. Meetings are held in the top of the north tower of a war memorial that was funded by alumni members, and as such, the group is allowed exclusive access to the top floors of the tower. The memorial is covered in the group's symbolism, which has been linked to Knights Templar, among others. Quill and Dagger was traditionally exclusively male, but began accepting women in 1974. The vast majority of members become campus leaders, then go on to become national and international leaders. In fact, it is said that from 1913 to 1984, there was at least one Quill and Dagger member on the U.S. Congress every year. Members have been very influential in U.S. government, holding positions in the State Department, as national security advisors, as directors of policy planning, and numerous other positions. A vast number of Quill and Dagger members belong to the Council on Foreign Relations. Quill and Dagger alumni include Paul Wolfowitz, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Janet Reno, and CEO of the Clinton Global Initiative, Robert Harrison. Between the 1930s and 50s, it is also reported that the chairman of Standard Oil, Sunoco, and ConocoPhillips were all Quill and Dagger members, with similar networking situations found in the finance industry. The list goes on in every major sector of society. Other Cornell secret societies include Sphinx Head, Der Hexenkreis, and Order of Omega.
Georgetown University deserves special attention since its campus secret society is located at the nexus of power in Washington, D.C. The school specializes in training diplomats and career policy wonks, and the university was founded by Jesuits, a Catholic-oriented secret society which itself dates back to 1540, and which wielded so much power that nations in Europe lobbied against them, forcing the Pope to issue a decree officially disbanding them in 1773, though there are persistent rumors that the secretive Society of Jesus never ended, but rather just went underground, continuing to wield its influence all across the world today. And so it is that Georgetown's most infamous secret society was founded as a Jesuit order. Created in secrecy, it's known as the Society of Stewards, and it's been described in the press as, quote, sometimes menacing and sometimes comical. Traditionally, little has been known about this all-male group, aside from the fact that its well-connected alumni were said to watch anonymously over campus life, working from the shadows to ensure that core traditions were observed at Georgetown. The Stewards' motto, non scholae sed vitae, not for school, but for life, and its 2,000 bylaws, including officer titles, were leaked to the media. The group includes a, quote, master of the ritual, as well as 2 guardian stewards, at least one of whom must be a member of the Society of Jesus or a Roman Catholic priest. Under the charge that the campus body had drifted too far away from Jesuit tenets, the secret society surfaced at Georgetown in 1982, though other accounts trace the group back to at least 1903. At a time when many new societies were founded all across U.S. campuses. Credit for the formation of the Stewards has been given to Manuel Miranda, who earned his bachelor's at Georgetown in the Walsh School of Foreign Service, and he's been deeply involved in public policy and foreign affairs ever since. His father-in-law, Claire George, was a career CIA man who rose to the number 3 position in the agency, and during the 80s was the head of worldwide covert operations. And it was during this period in the late 80s when the Stewards first came under fire for, quote, elitism and exclusivity, after a number of female undergraduates complained to the university that this all-male secret society with hidden agendas was manipulating campus politics. And a first for college secret societies, the Stewards responded to controversy and went public, only to claim that they were breaking up. But much like the Jesuits broken up centuries ago, they simply went deeper underground. Later, in 2005, an anonymous member of the Georgetown Voice decided to spend a full 24 hours in the tunnels below campus and write about it for the publication. During his lonely foray into the campus underground, he described how he came across a vacant room with a huge blood-red cross painted on the wall with a circle, complete with a variety of names and Latin phrases around it, including crux orbis and the phrase circuli crux non orbis prosunt. The writer concluded that this must be the meeting place of the Stewards.
Returning to the recurring theme of sevens, the most secret of all societies on the University of Virginia campus is the Seven Society, founded in 1905, whose members are only disclosed upon death, and only because a wreath of black magnolias in the shape of a number 7 is placed upon their grave, and the university's carillon chimes on the 7th dissonant chord 7 times at 7-second intervals at 7 past the hour for 7 straight minutes. The chimes were actually purchased through a donation from the society for $9,777.77 in 1957, when the society revealed that 77 past members had died up until that point. Such a wreath was placed on the grave of Robert F. Kennedy after his assassination, leading to much speculation, and while he attended law school at Virginia, the society denied he was ever a member. Their emblem, a number 7 surrounded by the alpha, omega, and infinity symbols, sometimes completed with stars, can be seen all around the university grounds, including a large version permanently affixed on a hill at Scott Stadium. The society is very influential at the university, donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to the campus projects in sevens. Notable members include Frank Wisner, head of the OSS operations in southeastern Europe, and later head of CIA Directorate of Plans, American ambassador to Bahrain in the mid-70s Joseph Twinham, Edward Stettness Jr., who was Secretary of State under Presidents Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman, and at least the 2nd and 5th presidents of the University of Virginia. Other University of Virginia secret societies include the Mystic Order of the Eli Banana, the 13 Society, the Z Society, Imp Society, Society of the Purple Shadows, Pumpkin, and the Order of the Claw and Dagger, among others. The Society of Purple Shadows caused controversy when members broke into the office of the Dean of Students a few years back to leave an angry letter about the cancellation of Easter, to which he filed a judiciary charge that went nowhere.
Founded in 1908, the all-male Gridiron Society of the University of Georgia comes off as just another honor society at first glance. However, its membership and its core purpose, like so many other college secret societies, remains a closely guarded secret. But according to legend, the Gridiron Society is linked to certain historic structures around the state, including the mysterious Georgia Guidestones. It is also believed to be linked to other elite college secret societies, including Yale's Skull and Bones. Interestingly, the connection to Yale dates back for centuries, as the University of Georgia's first president, Abraham Baldwin, a signatory of the U.S. Constitution, was a Yale graduate prior to the creation of Skull and Bones, when he was a member of Yale's older Linonian Society. Gridiron's elite alumni reportedly include every state governor and every U.S. senator from Georgia, for nearly the past century, and also include former President Jimmy Carter. The university also has a complimentary all-female secret society called Palladia, which is reportedly connected to its own vast network of distinguished and influential women across Georgia.
Throughout its history, Duke University has been home to several secret societies, but two of the most well-known were the all-male Order of the Red Friars and the Order of the White Duchy, a complementary all-female society created by the friars. The Order of the Red Friars was founded in 1913 and was only known at all because once a year, a figure in a red hooded robe would select new members on the steps of Duke Chapel in broad daylight. As with many other secret societies, 7 new members are chosen each year. Everything else about the order, its constitution and rituals, have remained a secret until some of the records recently became unsealed in the campus library. Past friars include President Richard M. Nixon, first president of Duke University William Few, Arthur Hollis Edens, a top Rockefeller Foundation executive and president of Duke from 1949 to 1960, and U.S. diplomat to Iran, Yugoslavia, India, and Greece, George V. Allen. The Order of the Red Friars founded their female counterpart, the Order of the White Duchy, by choosing 7 female members of the class of 1925. Members were known by the white carnation they wore on specific days of the year. Bob Dole's wife, Elizabeth, who has held numerous government positions including Commissioner of the Federal Trade Commission, Secretary of Labor, and U.S. Senator of North Carolina, was a White Duchy. According to an old Duke Chronicle article, both orders have secretly helped create university policy and influence student life, and the Red Friars have been affiliated with student government, the student newspaper, and the undergraduate judicial board, where they could further the group's secret aims. According to archives, the order was, quote, privy to information not widely known on campus. Supposedly both groups disbanded in the 70s, but as with all secret societies, it should be taken with a grain of salt.
At the private Washington and Lee University in Lexington, Virginia, there are several secret societies, but none are so elite and ominous as the Cadavers. Aside from the fact that they were founded in 1957, the basic facts of what the society is about, what it has done, and who is in it, remains completely unknown to this day. In fact, the only reason people know they exist at all is because there's a bridge on the main campus that connects to Wilson Field, which bears their name and symbol, a C around a skull. The symbol pops up again and again in prominent places all over campus, and especially on the hillside adjacent to the football field before big games. It is thought that the society is made of older pre-med students, and legend has it that they travel through a sophisticated network of tunnels under the campus, and that their inner sanctum is down there somewhere. Rumors abound about the location of the doors to these tunnels, and some of the pictures have been posted online. What use are the tunnels? The Cadavers like to dress in matching black costumes with capes, adorned with chrome skull masks, and creep around campus after dark, plastering their symbol everywhere in chalk. They're also known to run wailing through the sorority houses in the middle of the night, but there's no point in complaining to campus authorities, as the Cadavers are also denoted as Friends of the University, in other words, above the law, due to large financial donations to the school, including a cadaver endowment and gifts of hundreds of thousands of dollars for campus projects. Supposedly, membership in the Cadavers is a golden ticket into elite circles for life. Other societies on campus include the Sigmas, the Mongolian Minks, and the Phalanx.
Nestled in a wealthy district in Upper West Manhattan, Columbia University has several secret societies, and the best known and perhaps most exclusive there or anywhere is St. Anthony Hall, aka St. A's, a revolving door for elite-bred, moneyed families from the WASP tradition, whose members are referred to only as the membership. In fact, it was St. A alum E. Digby Baltzel who coined the term WASP to begin with. Founded on January 17, 1847, the feast day of St. Anthony, a 4th century Egyptian mystic, founder Edward Forbes Travis introduced a friend at Columbia to certain rituals he brought with him from England, which grew into what is today known as St. A's. St. Anthony's Hall at Columbia is considered the alpha chapter of a dozen chapters located on Ivy League campuses including Brown, Princeton, Yale, and MIT. And they all have one thing in common. Their members have wealthy parents. Past members have included grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt and head of the CIA's Technical Services Division, Cornelius V.S. Roosevelt, Edward Stettness Jr., who was Secretary of State under Presidents Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman, and a member of the Seven Society at University of Virginia, Frederick Ferris Thompson, who helped found what became Citibank, Thomas Edison's son, who went on to become governor of New Jersey, and so many other elite people from all sectors of society it's impossible to list them all. Over 40 state and federal senators and congressional representatives and governors have come from St. A's. So did Tucker Carlson of Fox News. The rest of the campus is pretty well aware of St. A's privileged members. A piece in the Columbia Spectator actually noted the existence of two Columbias, the regular campus and the one located at St. Anthony's Hall, where students have a personal chef and live-in servant who cleans and does the laundry, and was referred to by other students interviewed by the Spectator as, quote, the Asian slave in the basement.
Pennsylvania State University, better known to football fans as Penn State, has its own system of secret societies dating back to 1909, including the secret society Lion's Paw, as well as its own branch of Skull and Bones, and the secret society Parmeinu, which translates to Among Us, and includes countless members of the university alumni, including its famed coach Joe Paterno, who was engulfed in scandal and cover-up at the end of his long Penn State career. Penn State's secret societies are known to meet in black robes in the middle of night around campus, and are rumored to be extremely influential in picking the leadership of the university. From board members to past presidents, members of Parmeinu, Lion's Paw, and Skull and Bones can be found throughout the Penn State administration. UPUA student government president Christian Ragland criticized the influence of secret groups on the campus of Penn State, noting that, quote, it's almost like the university is ruled by the 1% of people who are in societies. This may prove significant as the Sandusky sex scandal that rocked the university also brought charges against members of the Board of Trustees for perjury and cover-up over the incidents. As evidence came forward about who knew about what when, it was found that Penn State University had paid out over $90 million to settle 30 civil complaints related to Sandusky dating back to 1971, during which time the coach was protected and never fired. Rumors that the scandal went beyond Sandusky and up into the elite donors of the university were quickly squashed, and one has to wonder, what else are they hiding?
Formed in 1832 at NYU, the Euclidean Society began as a literary and debate group that was for a time nicknamed the Raven Society because Edgar Allan Poe was a frequent guest lecturer. The name Euclidean is purported to come from Euclea, the goddess of repute, glory, and war. A quip in the yearbook of the era describes Euclidean as having membership that includes John Quincy Adams, the Rockefellers, and that crowd. The group had a stable source of revenue in a trust, a library, and augmented student instruction with its own rooms, including an elegantly furnished parlor within the main university building. Supposedly members were widely branded social elitists, and by the early 40s, the group stopped existing on paper, but in reality it just went dark, with all records redacted or written in ciphers understood only by the members. It's definitely still around today. In 2009, the group caused a controversy when it activated beepers in classrooms across campus with a note for each class that read, "Fellow classmates, truth is something you find outside the classroom, outside the walls of this university, and only from the professor in front of you insofar as he can serve as an experienced guide. We're not here to preach. We're here simply to say, NYU has its secrets too. This is your friendly wake-up call." NYU has its secrets too is apparently the group's tagline. Notable members include inventor of cornflakes John Harvey Kellogg, Walter Reed, for whom the infamous Walter Reed Army Institute of Research is named after, Ford Foundation President Henry Heald, Elihu Root, who served as Secretary of War for 2 presidents and chairman of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Henry Pratt Fairchild, who was president of the American Eugenics Society and helped found Planned Parenthood, Eustace Mullins, as well as numerous congressmen, senators, and NYU presidents.
Founded in 1889, or depending on the source, 1899, at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, this secret society upgraded from your average tomb to what is today a $1 million castle on 34 acres in the woods, not far from Old Chapel Hill Cemetery. Originally, it was known as the Order of Dromgoole, after the legend of Peter Dromgoole, a student who disappeared in 1833 and is rumored to have been murdered and secretly buried near the castle after a duel over a woman named Fanny. but the order's name was later changed to Gemgul, quote, in accord with midnight and graves and weirdness. In fact, the full name is the Knights of the Order of Gemgul. While the order is described to be about the ideals of knighthood and chivalry in the tradition of King Arthur, and archived pictures of past meetings look like something straight out of Harry Potter, to write them off as just a club filled with nerdy fanboys would be an underestimation. The order is for elite students, junior level and up, as well as faculty, and is not based on scholastic or athletic achievement. Only 10 initiates are chosen per year. Their rituals, code, and especially membership list are kept strictly confidential. They're said to meet at midnight by candlelight, and on All Hallows Eve each year, a group of hooded figures with candles appears in the Forest Theater near the castle around midnight. Their logo is the devil, and past photographs of members show them posing with the devil again and again and again. While membership is again secret, it is known that George Watts Hill, the wealthy banker and later OSS member who developed what came to be known as Research Triangle Park, was a Gemgul. So was Republican Congressman Charles R. Jones, 2 Chief Justices to the North Carolina Supreme Court, one-time North Carolina Governor John Erringhouse, William Randolph Kinnan, for whom the UNC Stadium is named, and a bevy of past UNC presidents, distinguished lawyers, doctors, and businessmen.
Senior societies date back to 1783 at Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire, and there are at least a dozen societies active there today, with an estimated 31% of seniors at Dartmouth involved in them. 6 keep their membership totally secret until graduation day, when members reveal themselves during commencement with walking canes carved with their symbols, including the griffin or the phoenix. The oldest of these is the male-only secret society Sphinx, founded in 1885. Each spring, 24 juniors are tapped to join the crew and become Sphinges. 7 additional seniors are also tapped each fall. The Sphinx has its own Egyptian tomb built in 1905 on the base of a pyramid with 2 large pillars at the front entrance and the winged disc symbology over the door. And the building houses a library and is rumored to have access to a network of underground tunnels and a secretly constructed swimming pool known as Cleopatra's Swimming Pool. The Sphinx reportedly gave rise to the secret all-female society Cobra, established at Dartmouth in 1978. Members of Sphinx included Richard Clark, National Counterterrorism Director under both Clinton and George W. Bush, U.S. Secretary of Transportation William T. Coleman, Jr., journalist for The Atlantic and The New Yorker Jeffrey Goldberg, and billionaire founder of the Huntsman Corporation John Huntsman Sr., among many others. According to filings of its 501c3 Sphinx Foundation, which oversees $2 million in assets, the society's aims are in part to train and educate selected undergraduate members of the college to become prospective leaders of not just the college, but the local, national, and global community. To that end, the society teaches a formal course to its initiates held in the Sphinx building and overseen by alumni members, which combines guest lectures, oral review sessions, reading assignments, and an oral exam at the end of the year. It is also reported that general activities of an undergraduate membership in Sphinx include extensive peer-driven learning experiences that take place in the Sphinx building. Clearly, belonging to secret societies gives one an education not afforded to the rest of college student populations. Dartmouth is also home to the Cask and Gauntlet Secret Society, founded in 1886, of which children's author Dr. Seuss, former Vice President Nelson Rockefeller, and Secretary of Treasury Hank Paulson were all members. The all-male secret society Dragon, founded in 1898, is considered by some to be the most secret of all societies at Dartmouth. It is rumored that Dragon's annual initiation rites involve a wilderness vision quest and mock sacrifice based on ancient Welsh Druid tradition. But little else is known about the group.
The election of class officers is frequently made by a deal between 2 or 3 powerful societies, and the result is therefore a cause of much bad feeling.
Despite all the American dream rhetoric, which sounds good as a political tagline, secret orders and elite traditions seem to be the real American way. But at least they seem benevolent on the surface, right? How bad could it really get? At the end of the day, isn't it all just campus politics? No. And with that, we leave you with the University of Alabama and a notoriously powerful and shadowy student political group known as the Machine. The machine is composed of dozens of Greek fraternities and sororities who reportedly pay $10,000 apiece to be part of a nearly literal political machine that dominates all Greek life and the Student Government Association, including all campus elections and the passage of student resolutions. The machine's dark history dates back to 1888, when it became the Alpha Rho, Alabama chapter of Theta Nu Epsilon, which branched off from the Wesleyan University chapter founded in 1870. By definition, it is a sister organization to Yale's Skull and Bones, which is also part of Theta Nu Epsilon. Based on its activities and clout, Alabama's chapter likely also connects with older Southern power circles as well. The machine's secret society took on a distinct course starting around 1909, when it effectively merged with a parallel society known as the Skulls, breaking increasingly further from its charter and going rogue to operate as a tight political machine in campus politics and as a guardian of old money, white society values, a strategy that must have played well for the dozens of members who became leaders in business and politics in Alabama's power elite after they finished their studies. Their eerie emblem includes a skull with a dagger piercing through it, and the Greek acronym for Theta Nu Epsilon, which looks almost like the word one across its forehead, along with a pair of keys rather than crossbones, complete with angel wings, a cloud of dust, and an image more consistent with motorcycle gangs than university organizations. Other icons from the group depict demons bathing comfortably in the flames of hell. Death threats, creepy phone calls, stalking, having businesses shut down, knife attacks, and overt racism have all been attributed to this dark order, in attempts to intimidate rivals and eliminate competitors. A recent report in the campus paper, The Crimson White, says that, quote, the machine used every scare tactic and committed every assault it could to instill dominance in the Student Government Association, from cross burnings to phone tapping, bombings to stabbings. A cross was indeed burned by 15 men in white hoods who stood in front of a competing sorority house after an independent black candidate won the student presidency in 1976. When an opponent had beat the machine for the student presidency in 1970, a few years earlier, his dorm room was burned. When a student editor exposed the machine in a 1960 edition of The Crimson White, he described the experience in local newspaper The Anniston Star, saying they had to go to press hours early and under the guard of a police escort for the circulation staff. During a previous expose in 1961, someone tried to hijack the bus carrying the papers from the print shop en route to the university. The level of harassment and intimidation tactics has raised a national spotlight on the allegations of abuses raised by several independent class president candidates, including a former Alabama governor's daughter who refused to align with the machine in 1993 and as a result suffered emotional and psychological trauma. She was physically assaulted by a man wearing pantyhose over his head who broke into her home, beat her, sliced her face with a knife, and threatened her to drop out of the race. She too had a cross burned on her front lawn. Nevertheless, opposition groups on the campus are becoming more vocal by the year, and at least some are publicly challenging the machine in elections. However, there are plenty of claims that its powerful influence has long since formed the basis of a good old boy network that has been rumored to plug candidate after candidate into Alabama's state politics system at virtually every level, with machine-backed graduates taking the, quote, southern route to Washington, D.C.
In real life, the smartest kid who pulls himself up by his bootstraps and works the hardest is not always the winner. The connections illustrated here alone prove that there are actually two college systems in America. One for the proles and one for the initiated, with an inner circle privy to hidden knowledge and rings of power that ordinary people, no matter how talented or bright, simply cannot attain. While this is by no means an exhaustive list, it should be apparent by now that secret societies are thoroughly entrenched in colleges and universities across America as they have been for centuries. It's more than just rules and traditions. Membership lasts a lifetime, and for some, that bond is more powerful than that of a spouse. And while outsiders may laugh off their ciphers and sacred rituals when they do get leaked to the public, it is clear they are no laughing matter to the group.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
on.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest
Number
of it.
322.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret.
But sober and serious connections to something the rest of us are not a part of. Many secret society members go on to join adult secret societies as well, and play their part in the wink and nod economy. And while many of these college secret societies and their true agendas remain hidden, only showing their faces through anonymous philanthropic good works around their campuses, it is also training these students the value of working with a group behind the scenes, in the shadows, and sworn to secrecy. These aren't just clubhouses and fraternity pranks, or simply juvenile flirtations with the occult, but rather they are a training ground for our future ruling elite. Simply put, here is a pedigree that opens doors that others dare not approach. What else is there left to say? The caste system is very much alive and well in America today. It simply isn't called that.
It's been frequently demonstrated that societies in life as well as in colleges are often a source of much evil, if secrecy be one of the things which are strenuously insisted upon. A spirit of bravado and lawlessness is likely to pervade a number of men bound to sink or swim together.